Hello and welcome again to another podcast, another episode of Conscious Conversation brought to you by Conscious Connections. Did you pray today? How did you pray today? Was your prayer answered? Well, these are some of the things about answered prayer or non-answered prayer that we are going to discuss in this topic. Because we have had so many people once in a while talk about unanswered prayers, or people wondering, how should I pray or how should one pray? And we remember there's even the Lord's Prayer that was taught to us by Jesus Christ himself. But how do we do it in scientific manner? How do we do it in what we are called affirmative prayer? To tell us this is my friend, my colleague in Sales of Mind, James Otumba. And here is the interview. Thank you very much. Hello again, and welcome to Conscious Connections in this version of Conscious Conversation. And so we have an interview with one of our friends, one of our members, James Otumba. We affectionately call him Mwalimu James Otumba. I believe he was a teacher somewhere and he's still a teacher somewhere else. So karibu sana to this interview, James. Say hi to our viewers.
Thank you so much, Patrick, for that generous introduction. And hello, our distinguished viewers. You are highly welcome for this program.
Thank you very much. In what we normally discuss in Sales of Minds, the subject is so wide. And this time I would like us to discuss about prayer. And once in a while, we hear people wondering why some people's prayers are answered while others are not answered. And it's been quite a question for many people. But just briefly, before you go so far, tell us your brief background about you and Sales of Mind and how you came to it in 2 minutes.
Thank you, Patrick. My history into science of mind could be long, but you have said that, okay, it be summarized in 2 minutes. My spiritual journey started a long time ago. When I retrace back my history, I realized that my spiritual journey did start by the time before I was even born. I happened to have been named spiritually before I was born. Then I was born of very religious parents. I served as an altar boy. I wedded in a church. I came across transcendental meditation. I had a lot of flip-flopping from one church to the other, but all these were actually seeking for spiritual reality. I was on a spiritual search. Eventually, I came to a point where I was in Christian Science, which is very close to science of mind with some differences. And when I overgrew that, I came to science of mind. Yes, sir.
Okay, that's great. There must have been a very good reason to jumping all over the place, if I may call it so, eventually finding yourself in Sales of Mind where you are. But that could be a story for another day. And we were discussing, even before the start of this recording, we were discussing about prayer. And I know there are various forms of prayer. And for example, there's a prayer of supplication, thanksgiving, blah, 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 etc. But then we keep on hearing some people have been praying for so long for a particular thing, and their prayers are not answered. How is this so?
That is very true, Patrick, that not all prayers are answered. And we are in the world in which we are subjected or facing the challenges of our time, not because we don't pray. In fact, the world is full of prayer, but we don't realize answers to these prayers. And some prayers are also being answered. Now, the question is, as you have put it, that now, how come some prayers are answered and others go unanswered? Now, this one brings me to try explain what prayer is. Now, when we talk simply of prayer, we are talking of communication, either in thought or speech, to a God or to an object of worship, where we give praise or we supplicate or we confess. And then we call that one prayer, right? And in this kind of prayer where we are actually giving our supplications, what one notices is that here we are talking or communicating to a God who is far off, who is away from us, who is not part of us. And therefore, that's why we give our supplications. That's why we give our praises to this God. And that is what makes the difference between the normal prayer and the prayer that I would like to talk about, which is an affirmative prayer. It is always referred to as spiritual mind treatment, but let me call it an affirmative prayer. This type of prayer is different from the normal prayer in that this prayer is scientific. That which is scientific is that which is empirical, practical. And because science follows certain procedures, in affirmative prayer, we follow strict procedures to get to what we want. In science, whenever in fact we are doing any experiment, we expect the experiment to yield exactly the same result in China as it does in Kenya or in Europe or in any part of Africa. And therefore, when we talk of the affirmative prayer being scientific, what we mean here is that this is a type of prayer which yields the same result if the method and the procedure is followed as stated, then the result achieved should be the same for anybody, anywhere, at any time.
Okay. So
that is the difference.
Yes. We've heard before that science and religion, or science and spiritual matter, don't meet. But apparently, in science of mind and this spiritual mind treatment is where spiritual and science are meeting. That's quite interesting. But could you give us what are the steps? I mean, how do you do this prayer? How would one do this prayer?
Thank you for that. Maybe just on something quick on what you have just stated, that it has always been held that science and spirituality and spirituality do not mix.
Religion.
Or religion do not mix now. That is actually a notion that was held then. Currently, scientific findings have found a lot of evidence in what spirituality has been stating or religion has been stating. And they have found that, in fact, there is no difference. That which is done physically in the physical field, using physical laws, is very spiritual. And everything is. Yeah. Now, back to your question. How do we carry out the spiritual treatment itself, spiritual mind treatment, that is the affirmative prayer? Now, in the affirmative prayer, we have got various steps which are to be followed, procedures, just the same way we have in physical science. There are procedures of carrying out a certain process. In this one too, we have got a procedure or a process or a method, which in fact is used. And the main thing here is that, or in sense of mind, we always practice the presence of God. It is the practice of the presence of God. And therefore, in affirmative prayer, first, we start with recognition, where we recognize the presence of a God who is present everywhere and at all times, a God that knows all, has got all the knowledge, all the wisdom, all the intelligence. There is no intelligence outside God. There is no presence outside God, given that, okay, God is present at all times and in all places. And that this God is the power that animates all. There is no power outside this power. So we take that recognition. We recognize God to be as such. And that is very, very important. That because people have got different notions of who God is. We don't pray to a sky God, a God up there who is not knowing, all-knowing, and therefore we have to inform. See, it's all not because we have to. At times we plead with Him. We don't plead with God to do as this, because that one is a God who will be contradicting.
Tell Him our problems.
Yes, you say, yeah. That is a God who, in fact, we must plead with Him that now, God, why don't you see? I mean, this. Why don't you do something? No, we are praying to a God who knows all and who is in all. In that kind of challenge in which you are, God is there. But how many times do we recognize that?
That is the first step. You recognize a presence, being everywhere, in everything, knowing everything, and so on.
And as everything.
And as everything. That is the first step.
Because everything is the expression of God. So that is the first step.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, in the second step, we question ourselves. If God is all this and all knowing and all power and in all places at all times, what is our relationship with this God? So in the second phase or the second step, we recognize our oneness with God, our unification with God. Because if God is everywhere, then it logically comes to the fact that God is present in me and in you and in everything and in the whole world.
Okay.
Because if God is everywhere and is not in me, then it is not everywhere. It means that God is in each and every cell, each and every tissue, each and every organ, each and every part of my whole body. I'm saturated with God. You cannot separate me or anybody from God. You are inseparable and indivisible part of God. That is the unification. And it fits in all that all the energy, all the powers that are God's power, because God is omnipotent, all powerful. He cannot be omnipotent if there is some entity with some other power elsewhere. Yeah.
Okay. So that now I'm one with God, because since God is everywhere, He is also here within me. Because if He was not here with me, then He is not everywhere.
All right, sir.
Good. Okay, so I'm connected. I'm one with God. That's the second part. So after the third part.
So after we shall have given recognition to God who is in us, who is all around us, and who is everywhere, and has got all those attributes of power, of intelligence, of presence. and we have seen that to be part of us, then we go ahead now to talk of what we want, right? And when we talk of what we want, we are actually now making affirmation. We are out at this juncture claiming that which is already is. We are not asking for anything that is to be brought. Everything is already is. We are actually taking cognizance of that. We are now claiming that to ourselves. We are recognizing or making it part of us. That is what we do in our third stage, where we do realization. We give our purpose statement. We affirm that which we want. We create mentally. We give a mental equivalent of that which we want. And the moment with a lot of conviction, remember at each and every stage, what is important is that which we are stating must be from within us. We must believe it. We must manifest it. That is, it must be part of us in our expression. It is not something we are just saying superficially in our mind, but it is something coming out of our conviction, our total trust. Yes.
Okay.
You're right. Yeah. So that is what, in fact, should carry us through and through. Total conviction, total trust at each and every stage. Yes. So that is what we do on the third stage, where we claim what we want, we create a mental equivalent, and we state that it is stating the purpose for which we are conducting the prayer or the affirmative prayer.
That's a third step.
Yeah, that is the third step.
Go to the fourth step now.
Yeah, at the fourth step, you see, we have done the first, second, and third step, and we have claimed that which we want. We have created the purpose for which, in fact, we are doing this. We have created the mental equivalent that we would like. I mean, we are transforming from potential to reality, right? At this time, we actually give thanks. The fourth step is gratitude. We give gratitude. We give thanks for the realization of that which already is. All that which we have asked for, all that which in fact we have stated, we know is already there. They are already there. The only thing is we are to realize them. We are realizing them. And because it is not something to be in the future, in fact, whenever we are making our claim, that is the third stage, we are doing it in the present. We don't ask that let there be, that we are asking for that, in fact, please help us in future or in a future time. No, everything is in the present. We realize it in the present, in the now. Because the only time, again, is now. The only time we have is now. They say time is vertical, not horizontal. So everything we do is in the now, not in any time in the future or in the past.
So we give thanks.
And therefore, when we are giving thanks, we are giving thanks for that which already is. It is only that, okay, we had not realized, we had not seen, we had not opened our spiritual minds to access it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we've given thanks. We're giving thanks because it's already here.
Yeah.
And you can only give thanks when you are joyful, so you are happy. And it reminds me this saying of Jesus that after you have prayed, be thankful and believe you have already received. I think that's how it connects there.
In fact, one of the greatest teachers who has ever trod the surface of this planet was Jesus Christ.
All right.
And his teachings, in fact, are very much in tandem with the science of mind. In fact, Jesus was a science of mind practitioner.
Thank you very much.
Because he practiced it.
Yeah, so thank you very much. So we have gone to the first step, which is recognition, recognizing God is everywhere. Then unification, the second one, being part of, knowing we are part of this, infinite, person, power. Then we go to claiming, that's realization, that's the third step. Then we have given thanks. So there's a fifth step, and I think that's the final step.
You're right, Patrick. As I had said that, okay, there are 5 steps. The fifth step is actually the final one, which is actually releasing, letting go. And here, for example, whenever we are doing our planting, our precious grain, we plant it onto the ground where we know very well it is going to decay there, right? But what in fact we know is that we are planting it so that it germinates, grows, and gives fruits.
Yes.
Now, when we let go, when we plant the seed, we always leave the seed in the soil in total trust.
Yeah.
We are letting go. We are freeing ourselves from any control of it, trusting that the soil has got all that, the wherewithal to make it germinate and grow.
Yes.
So in release also, we do exactly that. After we have done all that we have done from step 1 up to step 4, where we have given thanks, we let go. And we don't bother to find out as to whether the seed is going to germinate there in the soil, whether it is germinating. We simply free ourselves and allow the manifestation of what we had prayed to be manifested. Yes.
Yeah, because I think it means, as you say, it means releasing. Because if you don't do that part of release, you will keep on wondering whether your prayer is happening, whether there'll be an answer, because you keep wondering whether this is or that is happening. And that means you have not really prayed, or rather the prayer has not been effective. If you don't release, release and forget and know it's already there.
You're right, valuable Patrick, because here is a case where it means that, okay, you lack trust. You lack faith.
Yes.
Yeah, you lack faith. Yeah. And that's why you are still holding to it. You are wondering, if I release it now, what is going to happen? Will it disappear? But if you release in trust, you know there is nothing wrong, going to be wrong with it.
And again, using your example of the seed, after you have planted that seed, if every morning you go back to dig, whether to see whether the roots are coming out, it will never grow. And I think that's how your prayer will not be answered, because you're not allowing it to be answered.
In fact, you had asked that question at the beginning as to why some prayers are not answered and others are. I think should be a topic for another day, because it has a lot to do with letting go, releasing.
And you can only let it go with total belief.
Total belief. And total trust.
Yeah, and you start celebrating that it's coming. Otherwise, that prayer, that force you sent out there will meet other negative forces that might interfere with that prayer. And as you say, this could be a topic for another day, because you may pray all that, you may go through all those steps, but at the end of it, if you have not released properly, it doesn't happen. Whatever you prayed for won't happen. At least it won't happen the way you expected it to happen. Isn't it?
You're right. You're right, sir. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. So, yes, James.
Yes. So in conclusion, we could say that, okay, the science of mind treatment do allow us to nurture our ability to assess the fire of our life. See, help us in enriching our own sense of knowing, in experiencing the power of the law and our use of it. It is very, very important to acknowledge that, because it does open for us. We open up to avenues of thought and expands our consciousness and lets reality dawn to us. Yeah, that is how in fact it does help us. It also clarifies the mind and removes the obstacles of fear, of anxiety, which always blocks the realization of our desires. When in fact we pray, yes. So it removes those doubts and fears in the realization of the spirit. And that is one very important aspect which contributes to either realization or non-realization of what we prayed for. Yeah.
Like other forms of prayer, as you said. For example, someone may wake up in the morning, do a prayer in the morning, do a prayer of grace. At night when they are going to bed, they also pray. So do we have to follow the same steps, or we can, I mean, how does it happen? Because the way you put this one is like a prayer for specific thing you may need or situation that you may need. Suppose there's food in front of me and I need to say what we call grace, or I'm about to go to bed. Do I still use that formula?
Yes. That's so good a question. One thing which in fact you've just reminded me of is that when we are doing affirmative prayer, we are actually praying for the realization of a specific objective. Yes, so the objective is always specific. And we have got different forms or different ways by which we can do the same prayer. Like, for example, we have what we call benediction. In benediction, we always just give thanks for that which we have realized. And thanksgiving is something very, very important. We do it in our ordinary life, day-to-day life, but there is a lot of potency in thanksgiving if we develop a culture of appreciation. See, because when we appreciate anything with our heart, the energies of our heart, the energies of our mind will always attract things for which to appreciate, for which to give thanks. And it means that, okay, we will be flooded with opportunities of thanksgiving. And that will be a very fulfilling life, because you'll always be realizing that which you want, that which you desire. Yeah, we also have a prayer which we call invocation. The invocation does not follow the 5 steps, just like benediction. In benediction, we don't follow the 5 steps. We simply appreciate and let go, right? In benediction also, invocation also, we don't follow the 5 steps as such. Here, we actually simply realize, and after realizing, we do our claim, and then we end it as such.
Okay. So we have just about a minute or two to conclude. And I would really thank you very much for informing us, for enlightening us about the spiritual mind treatment. And as you say, there's a lot of stuff that can be a topic for another day. Because when you say mind treatment, are we treating the mind? I don't want you to answer that, but we can have a special program for that, another question, because I know when people watch this recording, we might get several questions which we can come again and respond. So perhaps you have a final word as far as prayer is concerned, so that we can now wrap it up?
Thank you, Patrick. In wrapping it up, I would like our viewers and listeners actually to get it that the world in which we live is a praying world. This is a spiritual world. And the way we have enhanced our conveniency by enhancing and utilizing our knowledge of the physical laws, we will actually do tremendously good if we harness the spiritual laws, understand them, and know how to use them.
Mm.
And those will be our topics in this program, so that we can together realize or learn the spiritual laws and how to take advantage of them. Otherwise, thank you so much.
Thank you very much, James. As we have always been hearing once in a while, we are spiritual beings, living or experiencing life in physical bodies. So we are spiritual, and even our thoughts are spiritual. So even as you talk, because we talk from our mind, from what we think, we are praying maybe without our knowledge. And maybe it's a topic for another day, where we can come and say, really get into the details of why those thoughts we talk, thinking we are praying, are not really answered. That will be fully discussed maybe in this forum or another forum that conscious conversation is soon bringing. So on that note, I'm very grateful again to have James in this episode. And until we meet again, James, elsewhere, have a nice day and God bless.
God bless. Namaste.
Namaste. Namaste.